This is Excel Part 2, Introduction to Formulas. Formulas are the reason that spreadsheet software exists. They perform calculations and solve problems. So let's take a look at I'm going to first show you the wrong way and then the right way to do a formula. To do a formula, you begin with an equal sign. So just for example, I'm just going to select a cell down here. If I say equals 5 plus 3, then it gives you 8. And so to edit the formula that you typed in there, you can either click on the cell and edit it up here in the formula bar, or you can double click right here and then edit the formula there. But again, the equal sign means that it's going to calculate the result. Without the equal sign, then it's just going to print 5 plus 3. Okay, so now let's say that I want to do the totals of this expense report that I made in part 1 of the video. So the January total. Okay, so I am showing you the wrong way to do the formula. The wrong way would be to say equals 1500 plus 450 plus 80 plus 350 plus 75. And then when I press enter, it calculates it. Okay, so now that gives me the correct result, but that would be the wrong way to do the formula, because what if you need to update some of your data? Like what if you, instead of 80, what if that's 90? When I change that, my total didn't change down here. And we don't want that. We want our formulas to update automatically when the data changes. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. Okay, so a better way to do this formula, instead of hard coding the numbers that you want to add up there, would be to reference the cells. Equals C3 plus C4 plus C5 plus C6 plus C7. Okay, and so when I press enter, I get the same number, but now if I were to change this 80 to a 90, notice that my total just updated to reflect the new data. So that's a better way to do the formula. Okay, so now let's talk about an even better way. Okay, Excel has some built-in functions. It has a lot of built-in functions. And so we're just going to go through a few of them in this video. Okay, so I'm going to do an equal sign, and one of the built-in functions is sum. And so you type the word sum, and then since it's a function, you'll have an opening and closing parentheses, and inside the parentheses you'll put your parameters. So in this case, we're just going to put the range of cells that we want to sum up. So starting with the top one will be C3, and then you put a colon, and then the last cell in the range will be C7, and then close parentheses. And now when I press enter, there it is. Okay, so this is better way to do it. Like for one thing, like you might, it will update this automatically if you were to add rows in here. Okay, so now after seeing that, let's delete it and let's show you the shortcut way to do the same thing. I'm just going to select the cells that I want to sum, and up here on home, there is this Autosum button right here. And if I press it, it puts that formula in there for me. See, if I click on the cell, you can see it up here. If you double click on it, you'll see that it put that function in there. So it did it for me automatically. Now let's talk about summing up the other columns. So I could do the same thing for these other columns, select the data, and then hit the Autosum, and it will do it for us. But let's talk about copying and pasting formulas in Excel. When you copy and paste a formula, I'm going to Control C to copy. Now I'm going to click here and Control V to paste. What it did is it changed the column from C to D right here. So that's pretty cool what Excel does in copying and pasting. So it'll do the same thing with rows if you're copying a formula down. Okay, so now, but instead of copying and pasting, an even faster way to copy and paste a formula is the autofill, the little dot at the bottom right corner of the cell. If you click and hold and drag it to the right, it will autofill that formula all the way across and change the column references to the column that it's in, H3 to H7. Okay, now let's talk about what a named range is. You don't have to use it, but just so you know what it is, a named range. That's this little name box up here. What you can do is create a name for different ranges. So for example, I'm going to select this column right here, and then I'm going to click up in the name box and type Jan and press enter. And so what I've done is I've named this range of cells right here Jan. So whenever I do a function, I can either do C3 colon C7, or I can type Jan, because that's the name of that range right there. Okay, so just so you know what that is. Okay, so now let's go over some other functions, some other basic functions. One is called average. So to do the average, you do an equal sign and then average, and then select the range. I'll just go back to the regular range, C3 colon C7. Because if I do the named range, it won't copy correctly when I copy it, when I autofill it to the right. Okay, so that will give me the average of those cells right there. And once again, I can use the autofill, drag it to the right, and there we go. Okay, another one is max. So that gives me the maximum number, or the biggest number in here. And if you just look, it's 1500 right here. So if I go equals max, and then the range, which is C3 colon C7, close parentheses, and that gives me the maximum number. It looks like that's probably going to what it's going to be for every one of those going across. And we have min. So min will give you the smallest number within that range. So equals min, open parentheses, the range C3 colon C7. So that gives me the smallest number, which is 75 in that one. Drag it across, and so now you can see the smallest number in there. And then one more is count. And count just counts the number of cells in your range. So if I say equals count C3 colon C7, see that's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells. So it just counts the number of cells. So that will be the same number all the way across. Okay, so those are just some basic functions that you can use, and there are plenty of other functions within Excel.